A prequel is always stupid, they say, but sometimes a prequel can actually be good when it has the right idea.
Those were up, and they did.
We're smart, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. This review is going to be for a horror film that has just come out this weekend, and it's for a film directed by a guy who directed a film with Nick Cage called Pig. Not directed by this installment of a horror franchise that was created by John Krasinski, is the first to not be directed by John Krasinski, but is produced by him, because he was busy directing the film If. But this is going to be for the third installment of the Quiet Place series, and it's not a sequel to Part 2 yet, but it's a prequel showing the very first day of the invasion. That is going to be for none other than this weekend's A Quiet Place Day 1. Yeah, we'll get more to the details later, but let's say the plot is. Well, this is set during the first day of the whole invasion of these creatures. And this time, instead of being about the Abbott family, we're about a cancer female patient named Sam, played by Lupita Nyong'o, who finds herself trapped in New York City during the early stages of an invasion by alien creatures with ultrasonic hearing, and now pretty much has to try to thrive and survive to, well, get some pizza with this guy named Edgar, played by Joseph Quinn. So yeah, well, how was this made? Well, this was around like November 2020 when The Year of Quiet Place Part 2 was supposed to come out, but it got delayed to 2021 when Paramount also announced a spin-off film set within the same world of the Quiet Place. And Jeff Nichols would be writing and directing. It was based on a story by John Krasinski, and it's a co-production between Platinum Dune Cyanide Productions and Michael Bay, Form, Brad Fuller, and Krasinski all producing. Then in May 2021, around the time Quiet Place Part 2 finally got released, Krasinski announced that Nichols' script was complete and it got submitted to the studio. But by October, however, Nichols dropped out of the film because of creative differences, and so Michael Starnowski was announced to replace Nichols as writer and director. Krasinski had approached him after seeing his indie feature directorial debut Pig from 2021, the same year of A Quiet Place Part 2, and he and Starnowski had cited Children of Men for 2006 as the inspiration for the film's look. And so around November 2022, the film's main stars Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn were on board to star. And Nyong'o's character in the film has a cat, and because the actress asked Starnowski if they could change the animal because of a fear of cats, but she overcame that with cat therapy. They have Alex Wolff, who also starred in the film Pig, was cast in January 2023, and Digimon Honsu who was introduced in Quiet Place Part 2, reprised his unnamed character. And it turns out his name is Henry. And then filming took place from around February 6th to April 11th, 2023 in London, but the film's actually set in New York City. Anyway, and so yeah. And then during post-production, Alexander Graspis, did the film score, and then his Industrial Light and Magic did the visual effects. So, after Quiet Place Day 1 was shot and marketed, much like its predecessor, it too suffered delays. It was going to come out in 2023, but that didn't happen. Then another day in 2023, and then strike fucked that up, and so it got moved right to here. To June 28, 2024. At first, it premiered earlier this week at the Tribeca Festival on June 26, 2024, and now it's been released in the United States on June 28, 2024. And has, released good reviews from critics so far. I'm not so. This just released, so I can't really. So I don't know the box office figures just yet, but I have a feeling they'll probably be good. It just came out, so all I know is the reviews are good so far. This is like I'm recording this on like the very night this movie came out, and I just got back from seeing this. Well, my memory is still fresh. But don't go less, so there will be. So hopefully, like they won't have to and try to remember as much as I go here. So this is technically premiering a week after it came out, but I'm technically I recorded this like after I got back from seeing the movie. I'll comment the opening weekend box office was in the comments down below. Alright? There. Or in the live chat wall. But as for my reaction, well, as you all know, of course I like these movies. I own both these movies. I love this franchise a lot. It's like easily the best modern horror franchise today in my eyes, tied neck and neck with Terrifier. Like, although, to me personally, now, I love the first film, but me personally, part 2 is easily my favorite of this series. Easily, like, that movie, like, and you all know, like, that movie began with us seeing the glimpse of the first day of the invasion, introduced us to Jijimon Honsu's character we saw near the end of the movie. And yes, we all know, they confirmed a part 3, they're going to do a part 3. This is not like a part 3 about the family, this is like a film about day 1 within New York, and from a different protagonist here. Like, we already kind of saw the Abbott family during day 1, so let's focus on, like, where Digimon Honsu was, in a way. It's not about his character, but it's about a character played by Lupita Nyong'o, who I do decently like as an actress, I'm gonna admit that. And yes, but now, yeah, it's a prequel, that part of me still kind of wanted a part 3 instead, but this is a prequel that had me excited for the film, because I actually, yeah, sometimes it's better when things remain ambiguous, but this was a little invasion and an origin I wanted to see. I wanted to see how this all started. I wanted to see how these creatures got to Earth. And I was hoping, like, and another thing, I was really begging for this movie to be good. Was begging for it not to suck. Because, like, have you guys seen this fucking year for horror movies? Like, holy crap, these past few months, almost every horror film I watched has sucked. Night Swim, well, that's a January release, so that was not a shock. That sucked. But it's a January release, so that was not really a shock. And it's a film from fucking Blumhouse. And then you have Imaginary. That too fucking sucked. That was also a Blumhouse movie, like Night Swim, Diarrhea Ghost Poo Water, Possessing Y. Russell's Mouth. Imaginary, some killer fucking teddy bear. Trying to do Chucky and fucking failing. And then, of course, like 2 months ago, you had Abigail, which personally, for those who like that movie, each their own. I did not. Literally, all Abigail was basically a boring, lazy movie that was just trying to steal from a fucking Saw sequel and elements from Don't Breathe. And again, this was done by the guys who did the Scream movies, so that was another reason why I was not excited for that film. Yeah, and our Jigsaw was literally a 12-year-old vampire kid with no diapers. Yeah, and a bunch of criminals that really, like, yeah, like, as soon as I knew the protagonists were criminals, I already did not like them. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't like Abigail. It basically is not even new or original. It took from ones from Don't Breathe, which I also didn't, which also I thought sucked. And it stole elements from a Saw sequel. Probably from a bad Saw sequel. One of the worst ones. One of the shitty ones. That is not a positive. It is not a smart idea to do when you do a horror film. But, like, onto this, though. Like, yeah. Like, yeah. And also, like, not only those three, but apparently Woody the Pooh Shit That's Runny was so successful it got sequel. Yeah, Yeah, I got a Shit That's Runny 2 this year. Apparently, somehow, unlike Shit That's Runny 1, which was panned, which it deserved, somehow Shit That's Runny 2 got good reviews and a pass. I did not see it because because I fucking hate the first one, so why bother? Why would I watch the sequel? Especially if the director's gonna be a narcissistic asshole to certain critics like Cody Leach over not liking it. So fuck that. I'm not watching your shitty universe. How about them apples? If you're gonna attack people like that. Yeah, if you're gonna ruin people's childhoods and then they get mad at the movie and then you're gonna get all mad at it and not try to take one bit of criticism, why would I bother watching your sequel in the first place? The only one exception I could make this year somewhat is Lisa Frankenstein. Maybe it's somewhat of a horror film, more of a dark comedy, but the closest thing to a good horror thing this year so far. But now, okay, sorry this took so long, guys. Now we're on to what I thought of about A Quiet Place Day 1. I just got back from seeing this, and honestly, now, people will probably get mad at me for saying this. I personally thought this was easily the best prequel movie since Star Wars Episode The Revenge of the Sith. I'm not a prequel person because you know what's going to happen when there's a prequel being made. You know how it's going to end. So prequels don't excite me. Revenge of the Sith is pretty much the one prequel I'll admit is phenomenal. What about the Godfather Part 2 scenes with young Vito Corleone? Those are flashback bits. Right? Godfather Part 2 is still a sequel. But anyway, yeah. This was like the first prequel. Quiet Place Day 1 was like the first prequel in like 20 years to be a terrific film and get a phenomenal score from me since 2005 when Star Wars did their final prequel film. This was definitely what I wanted here, like a straightforward horror film with some good characters and good development and not some like over sappy, boring 3-hour long backstory about how or some random doomsday cultist creating these creatures or something like that. No. Alright? All I wanted to know was not how the creatures were created. I didn't want to know some bullshit like that. I just wanted to know how they got to Earth. And it was like a simple 99 minutes, alright? Maybe some things I don't like in the movie, but I'll get to that a bit later. Director Michael Sonorsky was definitely great was definitely a great choice to direct this movie. But yeah, this has the perfect amount of being scared. There's some good intensity, there's some good danger, good amount of character development. It's not showed too much, and but it's definitely showing for us to actually care about the two main characters. The way it's executed is actually definitely terrific, and yeah. And obviously, if I had to think of, and easily, yeah. So this is finally a horror movie I liked this year. This took months. This took all winter and spring long to finally get. Finally. I was really praying for a good horror film to finally come out. One that I did like. One that I would personally like. Yeah. This film was not boring. It was an interesting addition to the franchise, and you definitely did see the initial invasion. All that really mattered was just how they got to Earth, not how they got created. Yeah, not that sappy bullshit. In the series of films that doesn't really have deeply written characters, there's good characters that are likable, just not deeply written, but yeah. But I like how these movies do show that there's still enough material to still care about them. Hope they make it to the very end. Yeah. And I thought Lupita Nyong'o, who I do decently like as an actress and stuff like 12 Years a Slave, and I thought she did decent in Us and among other things. She does a fine job in the lead role as Sam. Her determination is to really outsmart the creatures, which it has a bit of a corny idea why she's trying to navigate through the city, but as the movie progresses, you can kind of literally see why she wants this kind of reason. It's interesting to watch Sam set aside her aversion to others, to figure out how she's going to make it through a large scale and a huge apocalypse, can't make any sound at all. And her interactions with Eric here, there's so much like they're definitely terrific here. And you see the two of them work together and to come up with this plan to reach the mainland unharmed and stuff, and be able to evacuate New York. Like this horror film, like yeah, the Quiet Place films do get kind of emotional at times. Like they're not afraid to have emotion, and this movie does have some emotion. Like you got illness and death being good themes like throughout. And these, like these people can't really do anything to stop these creatures. This is like set in the first day where these creatures were new. They're powerless. They're a battle, so they have to remain silent, even at moments with great loss or losing loved ones. You see a lot more of the creatures too. And that's nice. It's nice to finally see more of the creatures in this one. Like, throughout the last two movies, you don't really get to see them much, but now you get to see them in hordes. Yes, you do see them in hordes, guys. Throughout the movie, you see them in hordes. Although the objective of the movie was Sam and Eric's friendship, and them trying to stay alive, and them having to kind of work together. Now, how do we start the movie? Well, we meet our terminally ill cancer patient named Sam, who's Lupita's character, and she's staying in a hospice in New York with her service cat named Frodo, who is often a pretty common character throughout the film, and then of course this caregiver Ruben convinces Sam to join a group outing in Manhattan, but Sam only agrees because when they promise us that they'll get pizza afterwards. That during the outing, meteor-like objects crash in the city, then hostile extraterrestrial creatures then start attacking people. That's pretty much so. Yeah, the creatures from the franchise, they arrive. They start attacking and invading the whole place, and now, when the movie started, and we first got introduced to Sam, she makes this kind of profane speech to this whole, therapy session, and I sat there kind of worried, this is our introduction to character? Oh boy. I really hope this character is not obnoxious. I really hope I don't end up hating this character. I was worried I was going to hate this character as soon as I saw that bit. Right there. That had me a little worried for a second. I thought this was going to be an obnoxious lead protagonist. So, yeah. But then, of course, then when they get to the whole matinee showing, she brings her service cat, because, Frodo's a service cat, and a kid, in front of her, and then thought we meet Digimon Honsu's character. That's his son, and his wife are at the marionette showing with him, and then he's looking at the cat. Digimon, tells him to, turn away. But Lupita, this is where it's fully started to like Lupita's character. After that profane, little speech she had, with the swear speech she had, which had me a little worried for a sec, she pretty much doesn't mind him looking and actually introduces the cat to the kid, and even seems fine with him petting her cat. So, and says his name's Frodo. So, yeah. So, somewhat has some kind of asshole moments-ish, but she's not an unlikable protagonist in a way at all. But yeah, then the invasion happens and Sam gets pretty much knocked out, and then you see Frodo and others, and yeah, and then she's hidden inside by Henry, who's Digimo's character, and then Frodo and other survivors. Everyone's now quiet. Then she gets signaled by this other survivor, that's Henry, yeah, Digimo's character. He can't make any sounds. Now he knows, the creatures get alerted to the sounds. Announcements, overheard helicopters. They warn civilians that they have to stay silent. They have to stay hidden until rescues can be made. Then the military bombs the bridges to prevent the creatures from leaving the island. Then one of the survivors quickly panics. Henry tries to keep him quiet, but accidentally kills him in the process. And yeah, that's kind of our very first few minutes of the film. And like his predecessors, it makes great use of the sound design to frighten audience and combine efforts, where he builds a sense, he set up the situations that could go wrong for any characters at any time. And when the score gets mentioned, you see hundreds of people, they're walking in unison, their feet are quietly treading in sync, so they won't alert the creatures, because the creatures could get alerted by any sound they make. And you see hazards of the ground that they encounter, and accidentally splashing this puddle and a small rock of gravel by mistake. And every step that people make, each object they pass and the surface they walk upon, that holds risks and can put them in danger to the creatures, or being ripped to shreds by the creatures. And you can really feel that kind of fear and anxiety as our lead characters are navigating through all the whole disasters in New York and have to make as little noise as possible. Part 1 and 2 story, the story of these two movies combined was kind of more of a survival story and kind of trying to find a way to kill these creatures or bring a new ray of hope to claim back the Earth, like part 2 really shows. This story is more of a somber, bleak one because this is technically the very first chapter. Pretty much the first bit we see of the creatures in a way. But like, despite this, though, despite being a really bleak, no hope movie, it still showcases like the quirks the first two do. You still get the dramatic instance of how it began. It doesn't go like into too much depth, and honestly, I didn't care if it didn't go into too much depth. I didn't really want to see a lazy origin story about these creatures getting created. I didn't want to see some cringy bullshit like that. No, I didn't want to see some stupid Halloween 2007 backstory. Like what Halloween 2007 did, and that fucking failed. So I didn't want to see something stupid like that. I just wanted to see how the creatures got to Earth, and that's exactly what it got here. That's all that mattered. That's the thing I cared about more. Not how they got created, or not some planet they came from. Now that would have been a dumbass idea. And I'm glad they didn't go there. We're provided like little bits of information. We get like small hints of this nest or food the aliens eats, though. That's the only kind of hints we get. Like, the story itself is kind of more human. It's the first few days of the aliens in New York. It's touching, like, the story develops, and the audience are, like, pulled on the journey of the two lead characters with the service cat named Frodo, who was actually quite a cute character throughout the film. I will admit that. And Frodo did kind of somewhat remind me of my cat that I have. Like, it's not in the room, guys. Like, usually, she's outside. I'll let her back in when I'm done recording this review, though. The pacing was actually surprisingly pretty good enough. It shows the devastation that the aliens pretty much bought into New York, and you already know that the only way to survive is to keep calm. You can't make any sound, like even when walking or touching one thing. You gotta keep quiet. The suspense was still there. There were some jump scares. One jump scare I did not like, was kind of lazy. I'll get to that one later. The bad qualities. Good cinematography. Lupin Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn give great performances here. And you get a reminder from this movie that during the dark times, even when possible, there's still reasons you can smile. There's still reasons to have hope. There's still reasons to enjoy life. And that's kind of what our main character Sam kind of forgot. And that's what, when she meets Eric, that's what pretty much gives, and it reminds her of that. Eventually, like, after the first few scenes when we got introduced to the characters, they find out the monsters cannot swim in water. So that kind of explains, like, why the monsters don't go near, like, water at all in the last two movies, like, or even the waterfall. That's pretty much one thing they can never do. So those trapped on the island pretty much agree that their only solution is they have to walk as quietly as possible to the boats, where these boats that will evacuate them, or, like, any, like, ship that's heading to the other side of New York. And things do seem to go well at first, but, like, and right here, like, Sam's still a pretty likable character here, because, like, she goes to get supplies from this now destroyed store, like some tuna for her cat, a Crispy Crunch bar, and then she sits in a park to chill and maybe, like, eat her bar, and so that, like, Frodo can eat his food. Then she sees two kids hiding near a fountain, and, like, she actually goes up to the kids, and, like, guess what, guys? She actually gives them her bar. And actually lets them have it. So yeah. That kind of put my words about her being obnoxious to the side. Because, like, it shows that, like, during the worst times, like, she's still willing to help two kids. Like, still willing to let two kids, like, have her candy bar. Right there. And clearly knows they need it more than she does. Right there, so yeah. I ended up still liking her after all. And guess what, guys? She even lets them follow her, helps them get to the whole evacuation group, and then tells them to go with the other survivors to the boats. And yeah, she kind of helps them get to the evacuation people. In a way, right there. So yeah, I did like that little bit right there. I like she did not leave them behind. Like, no, she let them follow her and all the way to the evacuation people, and then told them to go with the other people to the boats. Without making a noise, obviously. But sadly, though, their evacuation gets ruined because somebody accidentally brushes past a parked car that sets off the alarm, and the monsters get alerted, and mass panic erupts. And while you even see chaos, like people being devoured and damaged nearby buildings, Sam's trying her hardest to get to shelter for the smoke, but then she becomes converted in ash and, like, from all the destruction occurring around her. And yeah, like, and the film is set in New York City, so pretty much this kind of like it's kind of somewhat akin to like the 9/11 attacks from nearly like 24 years ago, 23 years ago. Like there's definitely like I can see a lot of people comparing it to that, like right there, like not like in an insulting way, not done as a joke. No, don't worry, I'm not doing. Don't worry, definitely nothing like that. But so like so one character named Ruben gets killed by a creature. Sam pretty much then takes her cat Frodo, and she's going to Harlem because she still like wants her pizza. That I'll still get to in a bit. Once again, guys, but just don't worry. Then the military announces that you see like boats are gonna evacuate people from the south side of the city, so people start leaving buildings at evacuation points, and the volume of people they're moving together alert the creatures. There's more of a stampede there as Sam goes the opposite direction and gets separated from Frodo, sadly. And then you meet our other main character named Eric, who's played by Joseph Quinn. He's an English law student. He goes from like a flooded subway entrance, like where Frodo was like earlier chasing a mouse, and then stops to drink kind of the subway flood water there. And so he encounters the cat Frodo, falls him back to Sam. Sam then like tries to like get a bit of a funny moment when they first meet, where she's pretty much trying to get him to stop following her. But Eric keeps following her anyway. She's trying to convince Eric to go to the evacuation point, but Eric's too shell-shocked to listen to that, and so he follows Sam to her apartment, and she's trying to find medication for her pain, so Eric then once again has to join Sam on her search for pizza, and so she reluctant, and so eventually she does agree, and the pairs start traveling together, avoiding creatures, and like, yeah. Avoiding creatures, like even going through like a building, like trying to go through a little sliding door without alerting like a creature, which sadly does kind of make noise because something's jammed against it, and a creature immediately runs through right there. And then Eric does manage to help Sam get her medication from a pharmacy, and then Sam tells Eric that like the reason why right here, this is the scene we find out why she was going back for the pizza. It seems like a bit of a stupid idea for this prequel, but here, like, it explains why she's going back for the pizza why she was wanting the pizza in the first place. It wasn't just some ordinary pizza. It's a pizza from a certain place that she used to go to with her father after jazz. After watching her dad play jazz at a club. Right here, she tells Eric that when she was a child, she'd watch her like now deceased dad play jazz at a club, and they'd go to Patsy's for some pizza for celebration. And pretty much so, yeah, like, it's kind of, in a way, that kind of certain place is kind of last memory she has of her dad. It was like, and since she has cancer and she's about to die soon, she kind of like wants one last memory of her dad before she too dies. Sadly, dies from cancer, and especially more because now the world's ending. This might be her last chance to go to this place. They're like, yeah. It's kind of so, yeah, this pizza place is kind of a bit of the last bit of memory she has of her dad left. Right there. She kind of still wants to live it like one more time before she passes on. So it's not as stupid now. It's like, it doesn't, once it gets to that part, it's no longer really that stupid or corny of an idea. It may seem like it at first, but yeah, like, in New York, like, when it looks all destroyed by all the creatures, it looks great. It creates a visually pleasing environment and it looks beautiful when it's all destroyed after the invasion. There are some moments that make you jump, and it is an intense film it's going to keep viewers on the edge. The two main characters, their chemistry is brilliant. The relationship they formed is definitely perfect. It does create some emotional story right here, like you know how it's going to end, but you still like the characters. The cat's also great, great right here. It's like, yeah, and also, like, when it comes to Eric, I thought Joseph Quinn gave a phenomenal performance, and he's also a very great character. For those of you who don't know, like, Joseph Quinn was the guy who played Eddie in Stranger Things 4, and I definitely loved his performance and character in that season. Granted, I don't think Eddie needed to die, because I think he should have had a happy ending with the shit he'd gone through, that he had went through his whole life, that's mentioned in season 4. Here, even in this movie, he also gives a great performance. And I love the chemistry he has with Lupita and Yongo. Like, him and Lupita and Yongo both gave great performances here. And, like, when it comes to the character of Frodo, people would say the cat's too much of an irrelevant character. Well, guess what, guys? This is the first time I've seen a cat in a film not be done for some stupid, lazy CGI joke. They didn't force this cat here like Captain Marvel to do some dumb Captain Marvel bullshit where there's a CGI dumbass alien cat named Goose and Samuel Jackson becomes too much of a simp for it to the point where it scratches his fucking eye out, and apparently that's how he gets his fucking patch, which honestly was a Ray swear bomb moment. Right there, that was a dumbass origin for how he lost his freaking eye. I lost my eye to someone I tried to trust. Yeah, that trust was some freaking alien cat. When I saw the poor Winter Soldier, like I really thought like that was gonna be like a scroll or something. A scroll burned his eye out. No, he lost his eye to a fucking cat. Or hell, even Argyle, where the cat's too much of a freaking obsession with Bryce Dallas Howard, and then of course like. And that's the part, and that bit like there, the cat scenes just further make Bryan Cranston in that movie make a fucking fool of himself in a whack role where he literally dies getting scratched in the face by a fucking cat. Yeah, like while also teaming up with a Catherine O'Hara with a shitty British accent and quoting Mortal Kombat, finish him. But no, it's not like fucking that. The cat here actually feels like a useful fucking character. It's not done. They didn't throw this cat in just for a corny, dumb joke. I'm glad they finally made the cat feel relevant to the plot. It's like Sam's service cat, and because like she's a cancer patient, she needs a service animal, so the cat has a reason to work in the plot. Right there. Like, yeah, once again, like, Lupita's character leaving her home for pizza, it's a bit stupid on paper, but though, at first I did kind of think that it was kind of a bit of a little corny idea as to why she's going through New York just for some pizza when New York's being invaded, but then when you find out that the certain place she's trying to go to is, like, it's not just some random pizza place, no, it's a certain specific place that she'd go to with her dad all the time. And since he's gone, and then she's going to be gone soon, she's going to live that memory one last time before, like, she eventually dies. She probably knows, like, she's not going to beat her cancer. So, yeah. Try to have one last memory she had of, like, of going there with her dad before she dies, and then she reunites with him. So, or just either pass on from her cancer or gets killed by the creatures. Anyway, so the reasoning got improved right there as the movie progressed. So then here is where we get on with the finale. So right here, and this is going to be a bit spoilers, guy, and yeah. So the two get to Patsy's, but we find out it got destroyed during the invasion, and Sam's obviously pretty despaired by that, so they go to a club, the very club that Sam's father played instead. But Eric, though, clearly knows that Sam's devastated that the pizza place is destroyed, so he goes to get pizza from another shop, and it may not be Patsy's pizza, but he writes Patsy's on there to cheer Sam up. They share the pizza, and right there, like, Lupin and like there, Sam, like, eats a pizza, and she's like, and, like, she doesn't mind it. And yeah, it may not be the pizza place she likes, but again, like, she's just glad to be kind of sharing a meal with a person in a while, and with a new friend of hers in a while, and she's just kind of chill. She's just kind of chill, like she's just having some last bit of food during this like whole invasion and during the apocalypse. So, and then Eric minds this card trick to entertain Sam, and then they do this like little pretend like quiet little stage act. Right there, they're pretending they're from a bunch of crowd in this like whole area, and yeah, like I also really like that bit there. They're having Sam's finally having a bit of bond with this new friend of hers, and anyway, so I really like that bit right there. And like and some could say like movies with no dialogue make no sense. There's a lot of films I've seen with no dialogue that I actually really liked. These films had no dialogue. The Planet of the Apes film, the reboot trilogy, hardly has dialogue with the ape characters for the first little while. And those worked. Hell, there's even a SpongeBob episode called Reef Blower that had no dialogue because the voice recording stuff was broken, and that's one of the best episodes of SpongeBob. So yeah, you can have a film with no dialogue that can actually be great. There's lots of stuff with no dialogue that's actually acclaimed and it's actually phenomenal. So that criticism would make no sense. So that after their little jazz act they do, the pair then sees some boats nearby, and there's passengers ready to escape, and there's like one of them has Henry on there, so they leave the club. But creatures though are starting to swarm. So pretty much Sam then pretty much makes a heroic sacrifice so Eric can escape. She gives Frodo to Eric, and she decides to sacrifice herself and run off to distract the creatures, smashing car windows. Eric is running while carrying Frodo, and he jumps in the water before the creatures can even get him in the nick of time, and he gets pulled into one of the boats by Henry. So then Eric finds a note in his jacket from Sam, and Sam Sam pretty much narrates that to tell Eric to take care of Frodo, to not scratch his belly because he doesn't like that, and to not feed him too much because he'll get fat. Right there. And even thanks him for reminding her to live. And then the movie's not over yet. Because we see a last shot of Sam walking into an empty street in daylight, and she's listening to the Nina Simone song Feeling Good with some earbuds attached to a radio. She's standing in the middle of an empty street, and so she takes the earphone jack out of the radio, and she's happily waiting for a creature to arrive. So it's pretty much an at-peace suicide she has, because the creature appears behind her in the final shot, and from what is implied, it's implied the creature kills her. So she pretty much, it's a suicidal way out, but just by her face, it seems like that she knows this creature's going to kill her, and she's kind of at peace with her death now. She got to live the last memory she had with her dad. She got to make a new friend with Eric. She got to find some happiness again, even during an invasion, so she's going out peacefully. She'll now reunite with her dad in the afterlife, and we all know, Digimon Honsu is going to go to that island we saw him in part 2, where Cillian Murphy's character from part 2 and Regan from part 1 and 2 will eventually end up there, part 3 will finally now see, and then part 3 will finally likely see these creatures get destroyed. But that right there, guys, is the end of day 1, and that's pretty much how this whole franchise starts, in a way, in chronological order. I think, with the last bit of this ending, it kind of is, set, I think, with this, most of the film is obviously set before the first film. I think this last bit of the ending might be kind of set during the events of the first 2 films, just kind of by the aftermath. In a way, while either maybe part 1 is going, and she's ready for the creatures to kill her, and some could say maybe her fate's ambiguous, maybe she'll come back in part 3. No, I highly doubt it. It seems like she's going to be long dead while the credits are rolling. Just judging by the creature that appears behind her, she got no weapons on her, and she's clearly playing the sound very, very loud, so she's dead. She's definitely obviously not coming back for part 3 when it happens. Digimon Honsu will come back, but not Lupin and Yongo. No. But I do hope Joseph Quinn comes back for part 3. I do hope he appears in part 3. Right there. I hope Eric appears, I hope Henry appears, and I hope all those villagers appear, and how I want part 3 to go. I want it to be about the Abbott family again. I want them to get their send-off. I want Cillian Murphy's character to come back, and him and Regan reunite with Evelyn, Marcus, and the baby. And then I want those 3 to meet Henry. And then I also want Eric Joseph Quinn's character to come back in it, and not just be a one-time character. I want him to actually be in this movie. Obviously, it obviously would be a while. I really hope he's still alive, and then I want all of them to team up. For part 3 when that happens, I want them to team up, take the war, them and the other survivors of that village take the war to the creatures, to take back New York, and the whole world in general. That's how I hope part 3 goes. And I am excited for part 3, but I swear to fucking God, if they fucking kill Eveline off at the end, I will be pissed off. Because I don't need that cliche, that kill off the protagonist cliche to happen to her next. I mean, we've already had to see Keaton Batman be killed off. We've already had to see Dante be killed off. You've already had to see, like, Captain Barbossa be killed off. You've already had to see Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia be killed off. You've had to see several Marvel characters be killed off, like Gamora, Loki, Heimdall, Vision, Tony, Natasha, like, those two worked, but the ones that come after it did not. Like, we've had to see Wanda be killed off. We had to see Jane Foster be killed off. We had to see T'Challa be disrespectfully killed off because they used Chadwick Boseman's real death for his kill off in the beginning of Black Panther 2. Like, we've had to see, like, Burt Gumble be killed off. We had to see Captain Kirk be killed off in the 90s. Like, 90s, we had to see Ellen Ripley be killed off along with Newton Hicks. I don't need that happening to Eveline next, especially with all the shit she's gone through. So please don't do that for part 3. Please. Now back to the review for this. As good as this movie is, would I have some bad qualities with the film? Okay, yeah, sure. It's a prequel, like, for starters, it's a prequel movie, so yeah, the ending is a little predictable. Because it's a prequel. Like, you know the creatures are gonna win, you know Earth is not gonna get saved, you know it won't end happy, so I was not shocked in the slightest. I went in knowing that the creatures were going to win, because this is technically a prequel film. Prequel films are never unpredictable. And yeah, like I said, the idea of her trying to get through New York during invasion just for some pizza was a bit of a weird goal and plot for a prequel movie. But honestly, like, I didn't feel like it was just done as like an unfunny Marvel joke. It was kind of done more, because it was done more of a last memory of Sam having with her father. Then she has to say goodbye to that city that Sam's gonna have to leave behind, or probably maybe get killed by the creatures trying to do, or because she has cancer, she'll probably die very soon. So she's like doing one last little memory of her dad before she dies. But it's probably going to be seen as a big problem for a lot of people. A lot of people are probably gonna really not like the movie for that one reason alone. And like, now, there's one part where Sam has a dream, and New York looks all fine. And then a creature just randomly jumps out the fucking window, and then Sam wakes up. That part I did not like. That jump scare felt way too lazy, felt way too predictable. And when I saw that jump scare, I was like, you really had to do a jump scare like that in a Quiet Place movie, really? And also, like, this kind of reminded me of a horror version of the dream from Jurassic Park 3. And I don't want to be reminded of that. No, I don't want to be reminded of that stupid scene. But yeah, my bad qualities are, it's a little predictable, the goal feels a little weird, and the lazy jump scare. And my worries that Sam was probably going to be obnoxious at first. That part I was a little worried about at first. But thankfully, the rest, as the movie progressed, that turned out to not be true. Other than those, like, bad qualities, like, people are going to get pissed at me for saying this, but for saying that because I said I liked this movie, or probably hoping I'd destroy this movie. Those who hated this movie were probably hoping I'd bash it, but I didn't. I ended up liking this movie, so tough. I think Quiet Place Day 1 is easily my favorite horror movie of 2024 so far. There, see? For those who hate, you don't like any horror movies released this year. Here's a horror movie I liked now. There you go, a horror movie I liked. Well, time has finally fucking happened. It's been like a shitty year. It's really been a shitty first half of the year for horror so far. Nearly everything has sucked. And this finally was a good one. I really hope Maxine can be good, and I really hope Terrifier 3 can be good. Those are the only other horror films I'm excited for this year. And that's about it. So yeah, in the end, A Quiet Place Day 1 is definitely another worth buying in this franchise for those who love these movies, want a terrific prequel to show how this all began, and those that just really enjoy tension horror films in general. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review of Quiet Place Day 1. If you're wondering how I'm going to rate Quiet Place Day 1, here's how I'm going to rank this movie. So overall, If you also have to suffer through shitty horror films this year like I did, and are eager to see a prequel that for once feels earned and not lazy, and are also a huge Quiet Place fan, then I would totally watch it by Quiet Place Day 1 for your collection, no doubt. And if you wondering how I'm going to rank Quiet Place Day 1, I'm going to give Quiet Place Day 1 a 9 out of 10. There we go, guys. That wraps up my review for A Quiet Place Day 1. Now, I want to know in the comments down below what you guys thought about A Quiet Place Day 1. Whether you guys hated it, nicely say you did not like it though, please be nice about it. Or whether you guys loved it. And once again, don't brag about loving it, and don't boast about loving it to any people in the comments that say they hated it. So please don't go insulting each other with your opinions. Whether you loved or hated it, please don't go bashing one another for it. Okay? People need to be nice about different opinions. But until then, guys, that'll be it for this review. It's around 10 p.m., so I gotta get to bed soon. I probably gotta edit this tomorrow morning. Thank you all for watching. If you like this and want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe to Don G. Corleone.